Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping straight into something absolutely mind-bending. We're talking about Kabo Fabu's incredible sci-fi novel, Every Configuration of Dust. You know, it's the kind of story that takes the coldest, most unforgiving laws of physics and just violently smashes them into the raw, emotional reality of being human.
Okay, let's dive into this. The whole thing kicks off with this incredibly melancholic premise. Imagine being in a dreary, soul-crushing government office, the Bureau of Provisional Measurements, and you find a message scratched anonymously right into the wood of a desk. And the message is just the second law of thermodynamics. The entropy of the universe tends toward a maximum. That single, bleak physics fact casts a huge, dark shadow over everything that follows.
Right away, the story hits us with this core existential dread. It asks, what if the universe is just a simulation caused by thermal noise? Seriously, think about it. Are we real? Is human history actually a thing? Or are we all just a momentary statistical hiccup in a dying cosmos? What if literally everything you remember feeling was just spat out by random thermal noise? Keep that terrifying thought right in the back of your mind as we go.
So, moving into Section 1, the Bureau of Entropy. We actually enter this world through the eyes of an office worker named Karl Lenz, and his mundane day-to-day life is basically a perfect mirror for that slow, inevitable decay of the universe. Our guy Karl Lenz, employee 11C4407, has spent 9 agonizing years on the 5th floor, doing nothing but filing white, yellow, and pink forms. But then, out of nowhere, he gets a bizarre transfer to room 917 in Section 9A, and this place is super weird. It's a windowless floor completely filled with empty desks, and the people there, well, they're terrifyingly blank. They just sit there with their fingers curled, perfectly pantomiming the physical posture of working, but without holding any pens or paper. It's like watching a living screensaver for a bureaucracy, completely emptied of any real substance. Okay, Section 2, microstates and thermodynamics. To really get why Section 9A feels so absolutely wrong, we actually have to shift our focus a bit and talk about the underlying physics that dictate this erratic reality.
It all comes down to entropy. In a neutral, textbook sense, entropy is the statistical certainty that every ordered system inevitably slides toward disorder and equilibrium. There are just way more ways for things to be messy than to be perfectly organized, right? But Fabu anchors this massive, abstract concept with a really visceral, grounded metaphor early on. We see Lenz watching a dying roach fold its legs on his cold bathroom floor at 4 in the morning. That's entropy in action. A tiny, localized system sliding from order into complete disorder.
Then we have to talk about a microstate. A microstate is one specific exact configuration of all the particles in a system at one exact moment in time. When Lenz meets the floor superintendent, a guy named Grosz, he finds out that time in Section 9A doesn't flow like it normally does. Instead, reality is skipping between these exact microstates, so you could be filing a form 1 second and instantly be in the middle of filing another, completely destroying the normal rules of cause and effect. It's like someone literally spliced random frames of a movie together.
And this brilliantly illustrates the philosophical heart of the entire explainer. The narrative contrasts the cold, objective macrostate of physics, like, say, measuring the exact temperature of cooling bathwater, with the deeply tragic, subjective human microstate. Take Lenz's incredibly personal memory of his partner Elena packing a bag and walking out on him on a random Thursday. Physics only measures the temperature dropping in the room. Human consciousness measures the heartbreak.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Boltzmann brain problem. Here we're introduced to the Entropy Engine, this massive, faceted, crystalline machine just sitting right in the center of the expanded 9th floor.
Grosz explains to Lenz that this massive engine is built around a truly terrifying concept called the Boltzmann brain thought experiment. So imagine fast, almost incomprehensible amounts of time passing in a totally dead universe that's reached thermal equilibrium. Eventually, given enough time, random quantum fluctuations are going to happen. Statistically, a fully formed conscious brain could briefly generate out of that static noise. It would even have a lifetime of fake memories before instantly dissolving right back into dust. So it asks the ultimate question: how do you know for sure that you aren't that brain right now? The engine's entire purpose is to calculate the probability that any given system, whether that's a person, a city, or our entire universe, is actually a genuine structure with a real history, rather than just a random statistical blip. And the readout it gives? It's horrifying. The engine mathematically cannot prove the difference. Finding indeterminate. Confidence 0.00%. Status? Provisional. According to the cold, hard math, everything is provisional. Moving right along to Section 4, translating subjective experience.
So we have to ask, why is Lenz here? What is his actual job in a room with a machine that literally questions whether existence is real? Well, Lenz's new role is to act as a sensory translator for this giant machine. He has to write the inside. See, the engine possesses literally all the objective physical data. It knows the exact coordinates and momentum of every single particle. But it is completely missing the subjective variable. It desperately needs a human observer to write down what a specific microstate actually feels like to the person living it. So Lenz sits down and just starts writing furiously, scratching the words directly into the wooden surface of his desk. And as his pen digs into the wood, those blank, posture-performing workers around him literally start dissolving. Their energy is consumed to fuel his act of creation. He starts by archiving his own consciousness, the taste of cheap, warm whiskey, the heavy, thermodynamic silence of his father. But soon, the engine feeds him the archived experiences of other people. He finds himself writing about counting reflections in winter light on a canal or walking through a temperate, trackless desert. He is literally archiving consciousness itself. All of this intense, exhausting translation work leads us into Section 5, Escaping the Heat Death. We are approaching an absolutely massive paradigm shift at the climax of the story.
To really get the twist here, we need to look at the standard timeline of physics. You start with the Big Bang, move through a long period of expansion, and then ultimately everything ends up at total equilibrium, the heat death. It's envisioned as this flat, featureless desert of maximum entropy, where literally nothing will ever happen again because the energy is just evenly distributed everywhere.
So, the crucial point is this stunning revelation from the engine, which was actually sparked by Lenz's writing. The standard model of physics? It's completely incomplete. It forgot to account for the observer. The actual act of experiencing something, feeling, remembering, witnessing the world, generates disorder. Consciousness is a source of entropy. Subjective experience itself literally expands the universe's configuration space.
The novel shows this beautifully in a really pivotal scene. A generated entity hands Lenz an impossibly red apple that the engine produced. When Lenz bites into it, he experiences the crunch, the juice, the undeniable subjective reality of the taste. That one simple act of eating and experiencing creates a brand new microstate that has never existed before in the entire universe. Experiencing the world generates disorder, preventing total cosmic equilibrium, and quite literally changing the math of reality. And suddenly, that terrifying readout on the machine takes on this incredibly beautiful, liberating meaning. Reality isn't just a fixed dead end. It's constantly being rewritten. Status provisional doesn't mean we're fake or uncertain anymore. It means we're dynamic. It means the story of the universe is still being drafted. This brings us to the final, absolute mind-blower of a revelation. Because consciousness constantly expands the configuration space, the universe never actually reaches that dead equilibrium. As long as there is an observer there to experience it, the universe never runs out of gradients. The terrifying heat death is replaced by infinite, beautiful recursion. The universe never truly dies. Which leaves us exactly where we started, but with a profoundly different perspective. When you look down at your own hands or think about your own memories, are you a genuine structure with a rich history or just a brief, impossible configuration of dust? The explainer of this brilliant novel suggests that maybe, just maybe, the sheer act of asking that question is the exact thing keeping the universe alive. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep questioning, keep observing, and I'll catch you next time.